everybody, welcome to our live stream here on Chess and Twitch. International Master William Paschall. Face the camera. Macro Panda. Alright, he needs a little help. A little bit of assistance. As do I. So what's up, guys? We're doing our subscriber stream. It's game analysis. We have only a few submissions thus far. I did send out an email. And it's been a little quiet. That's fine. We've got 5 games so far. Asterbait, Merle, Notch Papa, Warnocky, and Mr. Slowhand. So we will start with those guys. We'll still have some room left over for some late entries into... Sorry, I'm late almost every time now. But it's been so crazy with things with my house. And sometimes I have lessons right up to the stream. So I had to make some coffee, Mr. Coffee. The coffee was a little late getting ready. That's my big excuse. Welcome, guys. Mr. Coffee, thanks for being here. Thanks for being our moderator. Mr. Coffee is a hero for me. Really been a big help for the stream. Just being able to have you around, man. Thanks a lot. Asterbait, one of our biggest supporters. Thank you, sir. Being faithful to the stream. Good to see you guys. So let's get started. Not too many friends online. It's a quiet online chess day. All right. So speaking of Asterbait, we're starting with his game. First submission for this week. There it is. Asterbait Thursday commentary game submission. Philidor defense. Actually, it's really funny that I've seen quite a few of Asterbait's games. And I don't know if he's just really good against the Philidor defense, but it seems like he has vastly more games in this opening than anything else. Which is kind of funny because you would think that the Philidor is not really as popular as the defense is based on e4, e5, knight f3, knight to c6, and all right, here we go. So it's Asterbait versus... Look like... Whoa, sorry guys. Let me not get ahead of myself. Asterbait versus Asamashani. I don't know what kind of name that is. If you had to make me go on a limb, I would guess it's like Iranian. E4, E5, knight f3, D6. E4. We always see E4 from Asterbait. He's faithful to E4. E4, E5, knight f3, and now D6. At the master level, the Philidor is not very popular. It's been a little more popular in the last maybe 10 years or so. Traditionally, like, people always play knight d7. The so-called Hannum variation, but I think that this move, this exchange Philidor, because as you can see here, Mamedyarov, but it was really Nispianu who I first noticed playing this, originally from Romania. Liviu Dieter Nispianu is now, like, I guess, playing for Germany, but he's a 2700, a mere 2700. He started playing this like 15 years ago or more, or a little bit less maybe, but I noticed him first. You know, I said, wow, okay, that's interesting. My teammate, it's very interesting because this piano is connected to Levente Vaida, who's another, they're both from Brașov in Romania. And this piano and Vaida are connected by being from the same city. And then, and basically they're connected to my former teammate, Varga Zoltan, who's, how is it somehow? He's connected to Vaida, but they're very good friends, and they're all playing this stuff. Not so much with Levente, but I think this is interesting. It's hard to play that though for black because you're like giving up your center. Anyway, Asterbait does not give the opponent the opportunity to do that. He plays bishop c4. I think this move is kind of cool. I like bishop c4 as well. And obviously you can't really stop d4 if white wants to play d4 in the future. So there's certainly nothing wrong with bishop c4. I mean, c5, for example. Where's someone on sound? Is he in the house today? One of our regulars in the simul streams. you could get a really nasty type of, I don't know whether to call it a I don't know whether to call it a what is it, the Smith Mora or the Danish, but it's like one or the other. It's either going to be a Smith Mora or a Danish. After like d4, you could play d4 and just try to bust it up with c3. Either way black took, you'd have fantastic compensation. So lots of good options there. If black tries to stop d4, there's no real way to stop d4. Mr. Coffee just subscribed to tier 2. Oh my god. Mr. Coffee, tier 2 sub. Subscribe for 23 months. My man. My man. Yeah, we love Mr. Coffee. He's a vital part of the stream. Unfortunately, when I have to go back to Europe, Mr. Coffee might not be able to continue to moderate because it's going to be a bad time probably. We won't talk about that now, but it won't be that far, hopefully in the distant future. I'm looking at going back to Europe maybe next month. Okay, so let's continue. H6. The most common move that Acerbate faces with bishop c4. I mean, this move violates all sorts of principles. Control the center, time in an open position. The beverage man. I've got multiple beverages. You should see my best friend, my best poker friend, Hungarian Benamik. He usually has like 5 beverages spread out. Whiskey, beer, wine, water, probably something else, all at the same time. But anyway, I'm a mere amateur with just 3 beverages at the moment. I'm just dabbling, actually. So I have a fast metabolism, you know, just burn it off. Don't even need to go pee. I just burn it off. H6 d4. I've tried to really pound this into Acerbate's head. When the opponent does not develop quickly and you have a lead in development, you have to pounce and try to open up the position. Because in the past he was playing stuff like castles, maybe knight c3. This move is just key, man. And if you take, which the guy does, I think Acerbate could just bust the c3 right away here, you know. Someone on sound would probably like that. But I like the way he played it. I'm a spirited, Morphy style, castle quickly. You know, Paul Morphy would be all about this position with white. And now this is wonderful. This is the first time we got to see Acerbate actually be able to use this idea. Castles, c5. Black tries to hang on to the pawn on d4. Actually, the worst thing he could do here, he really needs to just develop and forget about that material. The only thing you can do is like bishop e7 or knight f6. Get the out of there. Get the bishop e7. Please get me out of here. Castles, c5, c3, bang. Yeah, we got traffic. The traffic club. That's awesome. Just put me on your dashboard and listen. So c3, and it looks like probably the best for black now would be just not to take. Either play d3 as a kind of Mora declined style move, or just let white take and give the pawn back. So he takes, and now we have a choice because white can just recapture with a beautiful compensation. The beautiful compensation of 1 pawn down, for 1 pawn down. But the other move that looks really, really dangerous here is the move played in the game, queen b3. Paul Morphy's second coming. Acerbate. This is beautiful stuff. He's finally putting it together, refuting the Philidor. This is nice. This is just wonderful. Notice, well, there's no knight h6, right? Not a lot of good ways to protect. He has to play maybe queen e7 or queen f6. I mean, queen f6, it almost looks like white has e5. Queen f6, e5, pawn takes e5. I'm trying to think if we can make it work. Like, just hypothetically, queen f6, e5, pawn takes e5, knight takes e5, queen e5, bishop f7 check, go for a walk. And I mean, even if you just play bishop takes g8, even though the material is approximately close, the black king is not safe. So that would be, what's up? Ilyash Hamemi 4-2. Sorry, I only I know how to, excuse me, I only know how to pronounce things in Hungarian, and I'm calling it like Ilyash. That's Hungarian pronunciation. I don't know. You know, maybe you're completely pronouncing it some other way. So this is great for white. Knight takes c3, also strong. Here, here. Fake left, go right. Fake right, go left. You've got both options. Knight d5 is going to be like really strong. It's beautiful stuff, Astrobate. a6, stopping the left invasion while allowing the right invasion. Bang. And now there's another very significant weakness at the b6 point. So I think white is just winning. Perfect execution, knight b6, very nice. Double attack, f7. I mean, this is instructive. This is a perfect game by Astrobate. Rook a7, snap, crackle, pop. Bishop takes f7 check, thank you for the piece. And now he got fancy, I think. I mean, I would just take on g8. I don't know what the heck black's going to do, you know, if you just take on g8 here. I guess he plays rook takes g8. Okay, that's the reason why he hesitated. But I mean, there you have like knight takes c8 check, queen takes c8, queen takes g8. This is just easy winning. So he played e5. I mean, I'm sure there's like 100 different winning moves for white here, and e5 is one of them. So this is actually fine. You're actually just breaking it open. Also good. It's just not the simplest move. I like to keep it simple when I'm winning. D takes e5, knight takes e5, and there's some nasty threats. And he just goes for a walk. King f6. So Astrobate, keep it simple when you're winning. It's mate in 8, but probably not an easy mate in 8 to find. What's up, Jim? Guys, we have 5 game submissions, which is much less than usual at this point. I don't know why that's the case. I usually like to do 10 games. We still have 5 open slots for tonight. Yeah, Astrobate has 9 minutes left. He sacrifices the e5 knight. Rook e1 check, king d4, and mate. Beautiful stuff. Thank you for sharing. Taking the king for a walk. No, but we worked a lot on this. I mean, this is the first time he actually did something like castles. You know, in the past, Astrobate had been playing like, I don't know, he had done silly stuff like queen takes d4, or maybe knight takes d4, but no, or e5. I mean, e5's, this is very efficient, compact, developed quickly. Black does not, you know, he needs to get out of the game with bishop e7, get out of the center, and he just went for c5. Logical. But after this, immediately black is in devastating trouble. It's amazing how bad trouble black is in here, how quickly, after just like 6 moves, he is facing, you know, very much uphill battle. So, all right, good game, Astrobate. Jim, thank you, sir. Queen takes is no good. Queen takes is no good. You're losing a clear tempo. I could handle queen takes if you can pin his knight on c6 with something like bishop b5. But basically, you don't want to play queen takes if it's going to be a loss of a tempo. No, I mean this has been a long process getting Astrobate to perfect his science here, but it's finally getting through. All right, better late than never. Good job. It's taken a while. So Merle is up. Merle, a completely different player, of course, than Astrobate. Merle is a strong player. He's I don't know, you know, reasonably, I would call him 2100. I have no idea. Quite a strong player. So this is, oh. Merle played the game. He submitted the game against me. I hate going over my games here. Are you serious? Alright, show me the error of my ways. If I could show you the error of your ways, I would have won the game. Merle is showing off here. He's got another draw against me. So it's an exchange Queen's Gambit. I ran out of games or systems to play against Merle because he plays the same defense every single game. I also play other openings, but when I do play d4, I go for the Queen's Gambit. It's a Slav. I play knight f3, plays knight f6. Really, I ought to play something else against Merle here. I don't remember what he does if I do like Queen c2. Merle, do you always use a Slav move order? You know, I don't remember. Next time I'll have to play Queen c2. Is Merle in the house? Is Merle in the house today? Don't forget to support the stream, guys. Thanks so much, Jim. WJ Lou Fornaki leading the way this week. Play f4 Sunday. You mean on move 1 against Merle? Interesting. I'll keep it in consideration. The thing is, I don't remember playing Queen c2 against him. I tried that. That's one of my side variations, you know, but now I don't remember what he does in the event of Queen c2. So we go into a semi-Slav, and then I don't like the Marin. It's okay for white, but for me it's just kind of passive. So I should probably learn to play like g3. Wojtkiewicz used to play this with white. Polish-American Grandmaster Alexander Wojtkiewicz, who died very sadly back in 2007, around 2007. He was just such a master of the Catalan with white. I think he actually played g3. He actually played g3 against a semi-Slav. But anyway, all right, bishop g5. And then here he's playing a line that he plays all the time. So I've had enough of doing e3. I played it like almost every single game, and black's very solid. So I opted for the exchange variation, which is a system that I haven't played. You know, I haven't played this for white since, I don't know, 25 years ago. I basically stopped playing the exchange variation against the Queen's Gambit. One of my last exchange variations was against Grandmaster Anatoly Lang. The game where he told my friend who was a spectator, he was like, just don't. And my friend, he wasn't doing anything. He was just like standing there looking at the position, and Lang was so nervous that he just had to like make this. He couldn't even stand near the board. But that was, I literally, like, the last time I remember playing the exchange variation was probably like 25 years ago. Because at some point I thought, it's more interesting when you play a setup where there's this tension, there's still the tension in the position. I feel like the exchange variation makes sense, but it does release the tension. And I fell in love with more of these like classical Queen's Gambits. Kasparov and many strong players like prefer the exchange variation. And white is, you know, white has a sort of theoretical advantage here because he has the larger pawn island in the center. One drawback here for white is that the fact that he's, I have committed my knight to f3 already. In some lines, the most aggressive lines of the Queen's Gambit exchange variation, white actually plays like Queen c2, bishop d3, with the knight still on g1, and you can actually put the knight on e2. So as not to interfere with your f-pawn. It's starting to look like an NFL game board, you know, strategy demonstration now with all those arrows and stuff. But that's what I'm trying to say, though. The knight on f3 is kind of committal. Queen c2, bishop e7, e3. And here, you might want to take note of, Merle asked me to show him the error of his ways. I don't know, Merle. I think you should have a masterclass with like Nigel Short or something. You know, if you want to play the black side of the Queen's Gambit declined. I'm not a huge Nigel Short fan, but probably that's the go-to guy. I mean, for playing the black side of the Queen's Gambit exchange variation, this type of move like knight h5, There's Kramnik. I don't see a short game, but it's something that he would probably do. Just try to force exchange of pieces. Kramnik also, you know. That's definitely a good idea. I thought that Burrow was going to do that later, actually, after e3, h6. This move I don't quite understand. Because it weakens black's king side, and normally you want to kind of keep flexibility with that king side. There's a real disagreement here, apparently, about which way white's... I mean, I don't like h6, Merle. I think you're supposed to castle here. You can even play knight f8. Steinitzian. How do you feel about the Steinitzian knight f8, Merle? You can play that first. Mr. Slowhand Grind just subscribed. It's a good thing, too, because he submitted a game for the subscriber stream. He's been subscribed for 2 months. Thank you guys for supporting the stream. Alright, multiple beverages. So knight f8 or, you know, castles with the idea of rook e8, Mr. Coffee. Well, Mr. Coffee can teach you how to play rook f e8, rook f8, rook e8. It's a special maneuver that he's sort of patented. Mr. Coffee can explain to all of us what the purpose of that, other than like trolling our opponent, is. Rook f8, rook e8, rook f8, rook e8, rook f8, rook e8. You know, obviously, very important, deep strategy. But anyway, I'm getting confused. So bishop h4. So h6, bishop h4. Apparently bishop f4 is a move, but I didn't see how that works after knight h5. So this is Rockport Hammer 2019. 2017. I forgot I could play bishop e5, literally. You see, the thing is, I wanted to do this, you know, and trap his queen. But it doesn't really trap his queen. I mean, this only works in some positions. It doesn't work when the opponent can play bishop e4 check. You know, this is a slight hole in the analysis. If you go for the queen trap, you allow like bishop e4 check. Whoops, it's not trapped. Okay. So if I was castle queenside here, you know, I have knight takes d5, pawn takes d5, bishop c7. Bishop e5 is definitely the best move, and I had overlooked that I had that. So Mr. Coffee probably didn't overlook that. He probably saw that instantly. But I did play bishop h4, right? And now I expected him to play knight h5 anyway. You know, this is what I expected, a kind of Kramnik style defense. Burmakin. Vladimir Burmakin. We're blackjack buddies. Used to play blackjack together. Novogorica. But bishop takes e7. I thought this was the plan. Bishop e7, queen e7, and just trade pieces, Merle. Very solid. San segundo carrillo. So Merle surprised me here. You're playing like one of my teammates who basically single-handedly cost my team from getting into the first division of Hungarian Team Championship last year. He lost like 3 games in critical matches on the black side of these exchange variations, doing exactly what you did with like h6 for no reason. See, this really kind of messes black up when you do h6 for no reason. Later on, like, it might make a vital difference in black's defensive setups. So I feel like you have to justify it. I mean, either knight e4 or knight h5 or something like that. Bishop d3, rook e8. And what did I do? I castle kingside. I mean, there are different options here. Yeah, so here it looks like knight e4. Wasn't there a famous game or something? Daniel Fleetwood. He's a U.S. correspondence champion. ICCF like world champion or something, wasn't he? That's interesting. I mean, what's wrong with knight e4? Bishop e4, bishop h4, bishop h7 check, king h8. So these are correspondence games. Check it out. They're all correspondence games. This must be some kind of critical position for this line. I mean, they were all draws, but they're all basically like computers playing against computers. I mean, humans with the help of computers. It's like a centaur, they call it. That's what modern correspondence chess is. The conglomeration of human and computer. But I don't really like it. I don't think that white has much, and I'm not surprised that all these games were drawn. So that's another option, Mr. Merle. B6 is a travesty. I thought this was a horrible move, you know. To me, it's like very unnatural. I've never seen anyone go for this. Maybe it's not that bad. No challenges. Just game analysis today. So this was played by Legki. Nobody else really. Sabo Attila, who I lost this like horrible game to him, probably in that tournament. Oh my god. There was this game where I was white and I hadn't played in like 2 years in a big tournament, and I was kind of rusty against Sabo Attila, this guy here in the fourth game in the list, and I sat there at the board and analyzed the right things to do. And then I just saw another move, and like against all my teachings and all my own like principles, I just like reached out and made the move really fast, just because it was like a temptation, and immediately it was like a blunder. That's what happens if you don't play for a while. Sort of lose your sense of self-control. So Lejki played this b6, huh? It looks good for white. It's becoming more of a Tartikover Queen's Gambit. I really thought you're best going for like knight h5. Golko Sarawan, 1999. Trading pieces, Merle, without weakening your queen side. Jim gifted a sub to Alvira Lucas. Awesome, man. Thank you. So I think that's probably the best way for black to play, but it's certainly not much fun. So b6 was interesting. I called it a travesty. That was kind of hard. I was surprised by this move though. Now bishop g3, and check it out. We're following a game from 1974. It's awesome. A game from 1974 and a game from 2018. Bishop g3. I wanted to avoid exchanges of pieces, and again I'm setting up the trap again. I'm trying to get him to sucker him to playing knight h5. I thought I had knight takes d5 here. It was basically a cheapo. But Merle was having none of this, I'm going to try to trap his queen with bishop c7 again. He's just having none of this. So bishop g3, bishop b7. And I played h3, just like Kevin Spraggett. And good company here. Dutescu, Kevin Spraggett. a6, exactly like this game. Vladimir Sveshnikov, I don't know who that is. And Arne Zweig, some old master. Maybe Blobix would know them. a6 and rook fd1. So I'm playing like Dutescu. We followed this exact game. And I expected you to play c5. That seems thematic. Very thematic, Merle. I was quite surprised when Merle here didn't play c5, because it seems like that's what I'm trying to discourage him from doing when I played this move, by the way. This move is designed to discourage black from playing c5, because of frontal pressure on the D file. Basically trying to scare him out of it. And this is where Merle got passive. You know, he played bishop f8. Bishop f8 isn't on the radar there. Must restart. Are we in trouble? Astrobate is restarting. I hope my stream isn't down. Uh-oh. Is my stream down? No, I'm live. Scare me, Astrobate. Where's all our viewers? We only have 19 viewers? What? See me play like Gicescu. Old school Romanian master. So Merle plays bishop f8. It's a little weird, you know. You would anticipate knight f8 or c5. Our viewers? Ugh. Yeah, well, you're not going to get better by playing the London system in Blitz. This is a little more good for your game. Rook c1. And again, I don't understand why Merle doesn't go. He doesn't go c5, you know? This is just strange play by Merle. I would like to get in the minority attack here with, you know, and actually come to think of it, maybe I mean, I was so anticipating c5. If I play rook b1 here, he's definitely playing c5. He is definitely playing c5. So I figured if he's going to do that, you know, rook c1, queen e7, bizarre move, Merle. And then knight e5. I don't know what to do. Maybe I should have played like a3 or something. But again, he's coming with c5. I'm not going to be allowed to play b4. So I played this. But I think at this point, you know, it's hard for white to do anything. You know, I'm at the point where I don't know, I'm trying to establish a strong outpost here. I think I was surprised by this exchange too. Once again, I don't know why he's not playing c5. Knight e5, bishop e5. This was a safe decision. I can take with the pawn as well. I was unsure. I was unsure of what's going on here. If f4, f6, turn off the engine. But I mean, this is the problem with h6. If you ever try to do f6 later, you have like, you're riddled with weaknesses on the white squares. Okay, so knight e5, bishop e5, knight d7, bishop h2, rook c8, a3, and obviously I'm threatening b4 now. He still doesn't. You know, dude, you got to play c5. Computer says g6, his move. Is there something wrong with c5 now? Is it too late because of something here? So he plays g6, queen e2, a5, bishop b1, bishop g7, and I'm trying to stop him from playing c5 again while trying to get in b4 myself. King h7, rook b1, rook a8. He's like preempting b4, and you know, if I play b4, he's playing like take, rook a3, get some kind of counterplay here. So I just repeated here. I was about to flag. I'm not playing the position now. I'm just playing because of time pressure. I just repeated moves. I think white is slightly better. So what was my last move? Rook a8. You know, the point is if I play b4, he can take, and maybe play b5 and like knight b6, knight c4. So I think a draw at this point is reasonable, but I had a nice position earlier. The time started to get to be a problem for me in this game. And this again was from the simul game we played on Sunday. Issue with your Twitch. All right. Let me get back here. All right, let me get back. Profile. So, next game, we've got Naj Papa, who I didn't see. He said he's lurking. Let me see. Inbox. Naj Papa, no. I just do this. here. Where is he? There he is. Hello. I'm submitting our simul game from Sunday for analysis. Yeah, but I mean, the problem with the game against Merle was, unfortunately, I'm in too bad time pressure to really play as optimally as I would like to. To be fair, you know, I think I got a good advantage. Probably, I could have played D takes E5 when he played Knight takes E5 and played for the win, but I know how solid Merle is, and I was running out of time, so I played it safe with like Bishop takes E5. That was a critical moment where I should have taken with the pawn. But Merle, you had a lot of different options you could have exercised in that game. All right. So this, another one of my games, unbelievable. Another one of my games. So, all right, anyway, what's up? What's that? He's good at endgames, so there's a little you can do. How do I send you a game for analysis? I'm only doing subscriber games, so you have to be a subscriber to get game analysis. We've got 5 thus far. We should do a few more, hopefully. We'll get some more. Naming any anatomy. It's a timeout. Timeout. It's a yellow card. Finger, toe. Well, hopefully Bob will be here soon. He'll really crank it up a notch with the trolling. All right, so knight f3, d5, g3, knight f6, g2, e6, castle, bishop e7, and c4. So castles, if you play knight f3, c4, or d4, pretty much any of the main moves other than e4, you have to deal with d4, d5, and particularly with c4, knight f3, you can't avoid the basic setup, the Queen's Gambit decline type of setup with d5 and e6. So if I'm an English opening player, I play the Réti with knight f3. I have 2 options. I can play d4 and transpose to a Catalan, or I can play, the computer is suggesting d3. I mean, Stockfish is suggesting d3 is the second best move here. No, I mean d3 is just toothless. The only other option is what I played in this game, b3. Kasparov played this years ago in the 80s. It's called, this is kind of like a main line for the Réti opening. Named after Réti Ricard, who was actually, you know, a Czech. I think he was actually from what is now Czechia. But he has a Hungarian name. Réti Ricard is literally a Hungarian name. So b3, c5, and now bishop e2. So the basic idea is that if black plays d4, we're going to counterattack it right away with e3. Either he'll give up his center, or he'll have to like allow me to take. And I mean, I think the d4 is principled though. There is another move. I mean, as I said, like e3 is the main move, but the other option would be b4, playing it like a Benko. I don't know which one is objectively better. Nodge Baby. Cheers at Nodge Baby. Big Daddy. Who's Nodge Baby? Where are you coming up with this? Why am I not seeing who's Nodge Baby? Masturbate. Where is this coming from? I don't see that in the chat. Nodge Papa means Big Daddy basically in Hungarian. So, well, anyways, I mean d4 is very committal. He doesn't have to do that, so he just does knight c6. I did e3 preempting. So this is like mainline Réti, and I think with move 11 we had this already, like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. The same exact position. I have never systematically studied this line. I think the Catalan and Réti, you can kind of wing it with white with logical moves. But here he played queen c7, which we can see is a very rare move. b6 is just standard. And we actually got this later in the game. b6, bishop a6, which is something funny that happened. Yeah, I was going to ban him. I gave him the benefit of the doubt there, Mr. Coffee. Jeez. He's coming back with another one, probably. Not even a creative name, though. If you're going to be a troll, like, wouldn't you, like, come up with some kind of trolly name? Not just, like, some random letters and numbers? That's really boring. I mean, if you're going to be a troll, at least be an interesting troll. So, b6, bishop b7, or possibly bishop a6. He goes queen c7 here. That looks kind of weird. Wow, so this is like Albanian, the Albanian variation. Dervishi is like the longtime #1 player in Albania. Queen c7. I think he beat like Rapport in the last Olympics. Somewhere he upset one of the Hungarian board one in the last chess Olympics, which was a major blow. Solid grandmaster though, but this guy has 3 games here. This is like his specific special variation, queen c7. It looks like it could get hit, you know, so that's why I actually waited a move. Okay, so queen e2. I'm playing like Klaus Bischoff. But this looks more critical, knight c3 right away. Sambuev against Dervishi, Rothstein versus Dervishi. Marriage versus Model, an old women's battle. Andrew Webster versus Eugene Martinovsky. Lots of games, interesting. So the idea is like rook d8. This is quite unusual, but playable for both sides. So for some reason I played queen e2. I don't know why I chose that. Blobix, what's up? Good to see you. Have a strong player in the house. Things are quiet around here. It's my subscriber stream. Usually our viewership is down a little bit. I don't do this, you know, stream for a large audience. I mean, basically, I'm just trying to give back to our subscribers, specifically by doing this stream. So even if we have less viewers on Thursdays, I don't care. I mean, I just want to focus on really serious chess analysis. So queen e2, b6 looks like a reasonable move. We'll probably transpose knight c3, and now I'm obviously on knight b5 in some lines. He plays this, and then suddenly we transpose to a Nils Grandelius game from 2014. A couple others. He's the only notable player though. So in this position, white to play. There is only like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games where they've reached this position. I played the best move, knight b5, according to the Stockfish. Grandelius did not play knight b5. So the only game we've got is 1994, some random Masters. And I mean, taking is just good for me. If you take, and he knew not to take. So this guy, Dubiel, some Polish player, these guys are Polish masters, presumably over the board from 25 years ago. Bishop takes b5. This is a very good thing for white. This is very, very good for white. I mean, the pawn on b5 disrupts the knight on c6. I've got a bishop pair. The bishop's powerful. That was a big mistake, and the guy managed to draw, but actually, Big Papa's reaction is better. I mean, I'm not sure where you should put the queen. We've got b8, d8, c8. So queen d7. There's possible danger along the d file here, which is what I went for, rook d1. So I played this perfectly. Rook d8. And then I played quietly now with d3. Again, I'm handicapped a little bit on time. So the engine would have gone for d4. That's what I did. Yeah, this is stupid. Ironically, I played d3 and then I played d4 the next move. I probably should just play d4 right away. So I played this and then I changed my mind a minute later. But I mean, he played knight e8. So, I mean, knight e8 is an exceedingly passive move. He was just waving the red flag, so I went for it with d4. Pawn takes d4. And here I thought for a while, if I remember correctly, because it's safer to take maybe with a piece here. My concern is that it just kind of peters out. Knight d4, knight d4, rook d4, bishop d4 just leads to a lot of simplification. Though it does look like white is still better. I decided to take with the pawn. And pretty much any time you can take with pawns instead of pieces, you change the pawn structure. And almost every kind of pawn capture tends to create a more dynamic, usually becomes more dynamic. I mean, if you are making the position like symmetrical, then obviously that's not the case. But if you have a choice, if I have a choice here between taking with the pawn or taking with a piece, generally speaking, taking with the pawn is riskier because it weakens my own pawn structure. So pawn takes, knight f6. I just went knight e5. That's where he's hurting by the queen on d7. And now it's like bang, bang. Massive, massive pressure against d5. He is saved by the pressure on b5, but I hit him with a4. And so the engine has it at +2 for white here. I'm basically like winning the d5 pawn, and that's what happens. Knight c7, knight a7, just took the pawn. I played this like perfectly, came back, he took, I took with the a pawn, open file, bishop b7. And this is where the time pressure started to set in. You know, I don't see the time right here, but I'm playing this in a simul against 25 players. And objectively, I'm winning. But again, I have to make like almost instantaneous moves against all these players at the same time. So every game is like a blitz game for me. I missed rook a7. I played this. And this looks like it was a major concession because this breaks up my pawns to leave me with those Isolani over there. So that was time pressure, big mistake. There's no reason for me to isolate my pawns on b5 and b3. Just an impulsive decision. I ended up really regretting that I was going to end up with an isolated, doubled pawns. I mean, the pawns are already doubled, so that's true, but this makes it a little bit worse. And there's a bit of like white's corner weaknesses around my king side, so I mean, this was the best move, blockading bishop d4. Pretty much the only mistake I made was exchanging on d5, it looks like. I would probably win this position in a long game, but now time started to be a problem. Rook c8, king g2, rook e8, and then b4, which is probably not a great move, but it forces black. I mean, he is going to have an outpost here on c4 now. So maybe my second mistake. And black's able to get enough counterplay now against my e5 pawn. I just gave him the pawn back. And now it's like equal. Should be a draw. Let's check what the computer says. White has a tiny edge. You feel that the main difference, this is Blobik's experienced player, I feel the main difference on activity is the bishop on b2 playing e takes d4. But opening the e file gives more possibilities and a better central structure. Right, like when I played this position, when I recapture on d4 right here, Paul Kiris was the player who loved to play d4, and he loved hanging pawns, I think the Kiris would definitely take with a pawn here. I mean, it's funny, if you look at the engine, it likes both piece captures better than the pawn capture. But the pawn capture is also good. If you check it out, like, it's going depth 22. The first choice is f takes d4. The second choice is b takes d4. But if you make my move, Dude, it's still point 0.8. So it's ridiculous. Like, the engine thinks that all three captures are plus point 0.8 for white, no matter which way I recapture. It's that close. Yeah, I mean, my main thing is 95, which is what happened in the game. You know, maybe he should consider taking on c4. How dangerous is this? Man, I mean, you know, structurally black is better, but he's not happy about the knight on e8, which is really out of play. This d5 becomes a huge idea. There's the famous game like where Kiras beat Plugievsky, I think. Kiras Plugievsky, where he had the devastating sort of d5 move. Yeah, no, Uglobics especially are a player who like to attack and you like active play. Larry Christensen is a friend of mine. He's another player who I know really well, who would definitely prefer the pawn capture. Curious. But people who are really anal retentive about pawn structure, you know, are going to prefer to play, you know, more the tighter pawn capture here, like knight takes d4, knight takes d4. This is a little less committal for white. Okay, guys. Anyway, so that was the end of it. I mean, I agreed to a draw at the end. Queen f3, h6. I had blown my extra pawn, and I was about to lose on time. Yeah, favorable hanging pawns, exactly. Okay, so that was Nonch Papa, another draw. These guys putting pressure on me, hanging tough. Warnaki is up. If anybody else has a game to submit, we have room for a couple more games in the list. If I could survive for another hour and a half, it's been kind of a long day. Well, hello there. So I played this miniature with black a week ago or so. As long as it's not against me, okay? I'm done. I'm just so you guys know, I'm done going over my own games for today. There have been 2 already. That's enough. Warnaki, so reminded me of why pawn storms may be dangerous for the side launching them. Quick one. It's a miniature. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if Notch Papa's in the stream or not. I mean, all you guys who are in Europe, it's obviously late. Not everyone is awake. You know, for Notch Papa, it's like 12:30 at night. He's in Hungary, presumably. Blavix also, you know, it's late. It is late. That's what this like Russian candidate master said to my friend David when he offered a draw. The guy offered him a draw. I've told this story before. Jim will remember. He offered my friend a draw, and my friend said no, and then he was higher rated, my friend, and then later in the game when when my friend was still worse, he had really realized how bad it was. He thought this lower rated dude, this old lower rated dude would take his draw now, so he waited a little too long, and he offered the draw to the old man, and the old man was like, "It is late." And then he beat him. I mean, he really beat the old dude beat him. So e4, knight c6, d4, and now for something new and totally different, b6. Even Rapport Ricard would not play this move. This is just, it's just too far out there, you know. I mean, it's playable. Look, you're not going to lose directly by playing this. I think you should be prepared to play knight b8. I mean, I actually like d6, and I was looking at this today with Spectacular Camel. The d6, d5, knight b8, and the idea is to like chip away or nibble at the white pawn structure later with c6. Kind of induce white to overextend himself, and then slowly nibble away at that pawn structure. Computer says that white is +1 here. I mean, yeah, maybe. But if you compare that to this situation where you're playing b6, right? Maybe it's not that ridiculous, but I still think, you know, I would probably play knight b8 if it came to this. I'd be more comfortable bringing my knight back. I don't like fianchettoed knights. You know, in my experience, if knight a5, knight b7, I don't have a good track record. Yeah, well, you're going to end up fianchettoing your knight. That's the problem, Warnaki. Fianchetto bishop is good, but fianchetto knight is not good. And I think the risk that we're running here is that we're going to end up with a fianchetto knight on b7, not a fianchetto bishop, and that's what I'm concerned about. So, majorly bad move by white now. I mean, he does not pull the trigger. Like, I've seen people do this kind of crazy stuff in like the England Gambit. Basically, how would that go? What's the England Gambit? Oh, you know, like d4, e5, d takes e5, you know, knight c6, knight f3, and then maybe something like b6. I mean, I guess this sort of situation, you know, but at least here your knight is secure. Maybe later they play like b6. Anyway, the England Gambit is not sound, needless to say, but all right. So the actual game, e4, knight c6, d4, b6. White does not try to refute your opening with d5, but he does make a reasonable move, right? No, he should play knight f3 at least. You know, you might be able to transpose to a kind of Owen's defense, which is Acerbate's favorite. I think the longer he delays d5, you know, the more like reasonable your position might be. But c4 is a different matter altogether. You know, I mean, c4 is like a lot of pawn moves, and I think particularly like the d4 square. Particularly the d4 square is weak, so it gives us something really concrete to work with here. We should be focusing on attacking on the dark squares, so e5. This is looking reasonable. We go e5. Because now we have a lockdown on d4. If he tries to push, you're all set. You know, I mean, this is fine for black, I think. If necessary, Freddy Krueger, if necessary, we could play c5 and lock it in there. So his best would probably be to take, and then something like knight takes e5, presumably. It just looks like a weird sort of Budapest Gambit type of position. But e6 is okay. E6 is not bad, and you actually might transpose to an English defense here. I was just looking at this with Acerbate. How would the move order go, though? He can't play bishop d3, so that's weird. Probably you'd have to transpose to knight f3, bishop e7, bishop d3, and then knight b4. And now we're into a main line of the English defense, except generally a lot of people, they prefer the knight to be on e2 to f3 in this type of position. I was telling Acerbate that I once lost to Alexander Ivanov in this line, but I've also won games with black. I played both sides of this. All right, Dreyev against Spielman, 1996. So you might get away with this by transposing to an English defense. e6, f4. This is cool. This is cool. Larson. I could see like Bent Larson playing either side of this position. Wow, the full pawn center. Nice. Interesting game. What do we do now? You know, again, I feel like you missed your best shot there by not playing e5. Like, this was clearly the best move. I don't think it's curtains, but white's probably better. I'm just trying to think about what our best option is here. You know, probably just continue with bishop e7 and await developments. I don't like d5 a lot. g6 looks kind of slow. Knight f6 doesn't look good. You can probably play bishop e4 check. don't mind trading a set of pieces. I would say bishop b7 probably. But you played knight f6, and my guess was that this was asking too much. Let's see. Wow. I mean, I didn't think you could establish a knight on e4. Perhaps this is okay. It's like a very cool Aliekin defense. So I thought like e5 was critical. What happens on e5? You're gonna have to play knight e4, right? Or are you gonna go back to g8? What was your plan here? Go back or forward? Presumably knight e4. And I mean, you know, I guess worst case scenario, you might even be able to play f5. You might even be able to play f5. Let's see what the oracle says. The oracle says that it's playable for black. It's almost okay. Basically okay. Kind of cool. That is a unique position, Warnaki. This is a unique position. Knight c3. Yeah, and now you just blundered. No, I mean, bishop e4 is thematic. I mean, he's got a problem. He can't play bishop d3, right? Because he just drops the pawn here. So how does white exactly, you know, protect... how does he protect this pawn without losing this pawn? Probably some awkward move like queen d3. That would give you lots of options. Maybe bishop a6, for example, starts to look pretty funky. I love this, like e5, knight d5. Just for the, you know, sake of argument, like this would be kind of a cool position. Knight c3 was wrong. According to the computer, it's wrong. He's supposed to play e5. That's what I looked at. But I can't believe it's that wrong, you know. I mean, I think that knight c3 is probably like a minor inaccuracy. You sent me a good game. All right, cool. Slim Belkhodia. That's awesome. He's from Morocco? Or is he like from Morocco? Isn't he like a FIDE? Wasn't he like a FIDE board member or something? All right. So this is Blobix coming with a game. Oh, he's from Tunisia. Okay, my bad. Close. One of those French African countries. All right. So knight c3 d5. The concern here is, I guess, you know, maybe take e5 with a big center coming at you. You just played e5 right away. That's good too. I like white now, you know, but it's still like you're threatening stuff. Queen h4 check. It can be very, very dangerous. Yeah, and this looks like overextended. This is amazingly similar to one of Astrobate's games I saw. Got to be careful about d5 rolling over black here. So, well, he's living in Paris. Cool. And he's a good friend, and he liked every player losing against you. That's awesome. A3, I mean, this is from the frying pan into the fire. When you notice the subtle threat, but you don't notice the obvious threat of queen takes d4. So white should just secure his center with bishop e3, and I suspect that black might have some problems here. Because ultimately, I mean, d5 is going to overrun black. And it just doesn't really appear that you have a way to like up the pressure now. The check is just hollow. I mean, you just play king f2, and I think that This bishop's about to get trapped by c5, plus queen a4 type of ideas. The c5 is really a positional threat. This looks good for white now. Maybe you could evacuate with something like knight e7. Evacuate the knight, you know, from the oncoming pawn advance and try to establish an outpost on f5. Anyway, interesting position, but luckily for Warnacki, white blundered with a3, simply takes the pawn. And I agree with the queen capture. If you can just trade queens and be up a pawn, you can be up a pawn with no danger at all. This is just total overextension. Yeah, and I was saying to someone today, I think that the easiest way to beat players who are under 2,000 for masters is to exploit hypermodernism, because players below master level tend to have a very, very weak sense of anticipating, you know, that they're overextended. It takes a lot of practice, a lot of experience to just learn the hard way, basically, you know, how far can you go without overextending yourself. So that's why openings like what you played in this game are playable. You know, I would play the Alyakin's defense if I was only going to play people for the rest of my life, where every one of my opponents was like under 2,000. Probably I would rely heavily on Alyakin's defense, because, or something like the Nimzovich, you know, because it's just hard for amateur players to deal with this. It's just too tempting to overextend yourself. King d1. Yeah, here, I mean, the main thing would be to get the rook to the d file, I would think. So you've got a couple options. I mean, maybe bishop b7, bishop d7. Also, you can see that's a nice little weakness there on b3. You know, would you believe it? Would you guys believe it if I specifically told you I actually talked about the square today with someone in regards to playing c4 and a3 in the English defense? I literally spoke specifically about that square. I had a game with Alexander Onishuk where he played a3 against the English defense, and I was mentioning to someone how when you push c4 and a3, you significantly weaken the b3 square. If you compare that to like Owen's defense or whatever, where the c2 pawn is back on c2, it's not as a3 is not as significantly a weakening, you know, because there's only one pawn pushed forward. Now we have both pawns pushed forward, and the b3 square becomes a serious weakness. So anyway, I don't really like bishop a6 that much, but it's probably okay. Yeah, I would like this. This is all right. I would like just castles queenside too, but c5 I can understand. You know, this threat of taking back here is really good. Then just castle. This is murderous. White resigned at this point. Wow, that's devastating. He doesn't have a move. Well, his best move is literally to like take on d4. Can you imagine? This is the best move. I suppose take and play something like bishop f2 and then try to survive, where white has these monstrous two connected pass pawns. Probably something like f5. Eventually you're going to win with those two connected pass pawns. Well, we have a whole bunch of messages. Bob said 2. Only one, Bob. Don't be greedy. Okay, save a dog. Okay, that beer. I needed the beer. Throat is dry from all this talking. Here's some interesting games, though. Okay, guys, don't forget to support the stream. We're going to be back tomorrow. I get to pick one of Bob's submissions. We've got Blubix, Save a Dog. These guys are subscribers. And Bob. Yeah, it was good analysis, but it's funny that you submitted a game that really had a lot of talking points that I specifically discussed today in Owen defense type positions. Warnacki 250 bits, thank you. So Jim has donated 500 this week. Warnacki 400. WJ Loof 311. Merle HTFP 111. Fishrack Cal 100. Mr. Coffee with 25. Mr. Coffee also subscribed to tier 2, which is super generous. So, alright, so we are up to Blobix. No. Mr. Slow. Mr. Slow was a bit off chess last week. Renew my subscription and send you the link to 2 miniatures I played years ago. Alexander Donchenko. That sounds familiar. The same, isn't there like a Grandmaster Donchenko? I guess it's a fairly common name. It's probably like Smith. So this is Mr. Slowhand. How long is this game? It's 17. It's 19 moves. Let's pick this one. Vera Lucas said, I'm making studies with reference games about the London Accelerated Dragon. Any game that I can recommend? No comment. Smithchenko, yeah. It's no comment. Is that really? Like, Bond means Smith or something? So, or are you just joking? I don't talk about the London system here. I hate the London system. Any games I can recommend? Difficult. I would look up, you know, classic players who played the Accelerated Dragon. You know, just off the top of my head, Larson, you know, Bent Larson and Petrosian were two players who played the Accelerated Dragon, close to World Championship. Yeah. I know Farzad Abdi, HTFP. He actually worked with me a little bit briefly. No. Knight F3, E6. Yeah. I can't give you any secrets. Knight F3, E6, D4, C takes D4, Knight takes D4, Knight F6, Bishop D3. The John Curto variation. So Bishop D3 is just not great here. It's a game I had a couple games like this years ago. I used to play this way with black. I can't give you secrets against Farzad. Alright, Bishop D3. Knight C6. This is the best move. This is the key move. My last game with Curto was a draw. I had lost to another guy. So basically, Knight C6 is best. White's supposed to take here on C6. Knight takes C6. And initially, I lost when I was like 2100 against another 2200. Because I tried to take toward the center here with B takes. It's much more dynamic, but black has to be a little careful. I don't know. I guess I tried to play D5 too early. I don't remember, you know. But this is a very, very solid move. Like if black takes back with a D pawn, Acerbate, Queen A5 check. We need to remind Acerbate that if E5, you have Queen A5 check. Winning the E5 pawn. Does that look familiar? Anybody? So E5 is not an option, you know, and you take back with the D pawn and just equalize with E5 next move. This is nothing. Like my last game with JC was like 20 years ago, and it was a draw. But this way is riskier for black. So anyway, white now plays. I mean, I'm assuming that. Yeah, you're white, right? So Bishop E3. This is some sort of technical mistake. A large bear. Enjoy your large bear. I need glasses, sorry. I don't even want to go there. Alright. Bishop E3. So it looks like this doesn't seem right. Doesn't seem right. You're supposed to take on C6. This move, Paglila. That's a Brazilian master, and I know we have one or two Brazilians here, but I just want to know if you Brazilian guys know anything about Rafael Latao's handle on the Internet Chess Club used to be Pigzilla, and I'm just curious if it was a reference to this guy. There was some sort of joke about this guy, Paglilla. I'm not sure, but it just seems like it's almost too much of a coincidence. Paglilla, Pigzilla. Maybe it's just a completely random coincidence. But this looks like it's a mistake, d6. It's not a bad move, but it's probably not optimal. Like, black could probably equalize here. I look warm today. Worn is more the word that you're looking for. Not warm, but worn. I'm a bit tired, Bob. Been through the washer. Not that fresh. It's been a lot of stress, like trying to sell my house and stuff. I'm in the process. Anyways, d6 looks a little passive. Knight c3, and now we're playing some kind of weird. Maybe not so weird. I mean, actually, this will probably transpose to escape an Ingen. Bishop e7, castle, castle, and now f4. You know, normally this bishop is on e2, and only later it would go to d3. But it's like white might almost cheat. White might almost cheat black out of a tempo at some point. a6, queen f3, queen c7. And now king h1 is a prophylactic move, but it's probably not really necessary at this point. This is very, very close to a game I had 2 years ago against a little kid that I almost lost. In fact, it might be the exact position. Oh no, this has to be different. This looks different. I think the little kid played king h1 at some point. But I don't know about this. Surprising move. Surprise! I mean, there's these pieces coming there, you know, but if bishop e3, I mean, is this a problem? You don't want to play knight g4 with black because of the d5 square, and bishop g4 doesn't really do anything. So my inclination here for white is that, you know, knight d5 is not even really necessary. What's the engine think? But the computer actually, it does play, it can't make up its mind actually. Yeah, bishop e3 finally. Yeah, I think just keeping the tension here for white. It's a cute trick, you know, but I mean, at the end of the day, what does this do? It like simplifies. Knight d5, ed5. Obviously the trick is like pawn takes pawn, queen e4 with the double threat of maiden and taking on e7. In fact, the whole game has been played before. This move is an apocalypse. That looks ugly. It looks like an apocalypse, but maybe it's not that bad. I mean, what about queen h5 here? I mean, that looks like a serious problem. So what is he supposed to do? Actually take queen e4 and then not get mated. Golashapov versus Sandipan. f5. And how bad is this? Queen e7, queen e7, rook e7, and black holds on. Rook f7. What is going on? White exchanged rooks on f7. Is that really a good move? Does that seem like a good move? To exchange rooks? Why would you exchange rooks on f7? I'm not sure I quite understand. This is a very curious move from Golashapov here. Like, why in the world would you do that? Trading rooks on f7. Bob, don't get started. Okay? We already have no women that are willing to come to the chat because of you. And now you're just going to make it worse again. Just don't. Be like Anatoly Lane. Just don't. Okay? Please just don't. No, but this is a huge mistake. F6 and bang, Queen H5. Whoops. The E5 pawn. You can't play F5. You lose your E5 pawn. Oh, by the way, you're getting mated over here. This is a cute game. So G6. And now it's just like bang, 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 bang. Oops, we don't have Rook H3 check. This is a little problem. That there's no Rook Luft to give a mate on H3. So where's the mate? Where's the mate, guys? We give the mate on G3. We don't need any stinking Rook H3. So we take, King H8, Queen H5 check, King G7, then Rook something, and Rook G3. So Rook G3 is mate. Oh, he just does it this way. All right, so this is the most precise. No, the computer says was more precise. So check here, and then like a Rook lift. Not this one. Well, it probably matters, right? If you lift here, there's going to be a capture on F4. But it does look pretty bad for black. Like, even if you sacked a rook or something. There's also, like, bishop G4. It's kind of complicated. He played this. Oops, I'm sorry. And then I guess it's just mate. Mate and 2. But can black defend? I mean, I was presuming it would be this move. The problem with that is that you just take. Yeah, it's over. Okay. So that was a cool game, you know. But objectively, the Galashapov game casts some doubt on 95. I don't think this is quite good enough, objectively. This looks like it might just be like a forced draw. Queen E4, F5, Queen E7. Queen E7, Rook E7. Well, not a forced draw. Okay, Galashapov played stupidly with Rook takes F7. I mean, this is just stupid. But, you know, double the rooks maybe, or just pull the rook back, I guess. We're still slightly better, though objectively hard to win. Blubik said Rook F3 is better because of Rook E6, yeah. By the way, Blubik, I'm sorry about that Rook F6 move against you the other day. I saw that was like patently unsound, and you believed me. I made a really incorrect rook sacrifice against Blubix the other day and sort of swindled him. It was not correct. But Blubix is right. You know, this idea in the game after G6 here. The idea would be, what did you say? Rook F3 because of Rook E6. No, we don't even need that. I mean, this is just mate here straight up. But this is also a strong move. I love that. I mean, this pawn would really help, you know, in locking black in. Like, no running away through F7. Slight problem. H3. All right, I'm going to leave it with that and go on to our next game. So thanks for that submission from Mr. Slow. Blobix is up next. One of our strongest contributors. Rook F6 was the move of the year. Yeah, I'm sorry. I thought it worked, but you know, we didn't calculate it quite right. I think we gave, both of us probably gave me like one extra move. It was a stupid idea. I mean, it wasn't a stupid idea. The theme of Rook F6 is oftentimes working, but truthfully, that sort of move that I played against you, Blubix, would be much more effective if you had played H6 or something like that, you know. Without having moved F7, G7, and H7, Rook F6 does seem like kind of a borderline absurd thing to do. Anyway, it was amusing, if nothing else. We're going to go back and grab another game. Blubix, Save Dog, and Bob. Please don't put a game against me. Oh, thank God it's not a game against me, right? You said it was the game against Bahodja. So he's Tunisian. International Grandmaster. This was played in 1986. Oh, he was only in FM when he played. Oh, wow. 1986. Yeah, I've heard a lot about this player. You know, I've heard his name many, many times, and he's well known and respected. Okay, so like obviously one of the first. Was he like the first African grandmaster? I mean, is that is that a statistic? Is that true? By the way, because he is from Tunisia, it counts as Africa, even though it's practically in Europe. Um, Taking the rook in f6 would have been disrespectful. All right, so you're actually white. Okay, cool. So Slim is black, Blubix is white. Knight f3, e6. You see, he chose this because Blubix chose this game because I've been playing this game in Ingen against him last couple of games. So d4. This is appropriate to our last few games. We get to see us game again. But in fact, Black played knight c6, so this is actually a Taimana. Knight c3, and then d6. Yeah, so back in this time, in 1986, I think it was like Shirov a few years later, actually, would play g4. This move wasn't really known at that time. It wasn't very well explored. Like a lot of people thought that g4 is only appropriate when Black's already played knight f6. So that this has come under some serious analysis in the last 20 years. But at that time, the books would say, "Oh, g4 is not a big deal." The engine actually believes that that's the best move for white here, which is quite almost surprising to me. So it's a Skaveninga. Cool. But this line was like all the rage. In 1986, when Blubix played this game with future Grandmaster Slim, that was about the exact same time when Kasparov and Nikitin published a book on the Skaveningen, the best book ever written on this opening for Black. And I'm not sure when the publication date for that book was. It might have been anywhere between like 1983, maybe anywhere between 83 and 82, 83, 84, 85, 86. I'm not sure. But that book comprehensively, like, that was my guidepost on how to play with Black. And this is the theory has changed since then. But I eventually gave up playing this opening for Black because of the Curious attack just being, so g4 is just too strong. But if I could be guaranteed to play a Skaveningen, I would probably play the opening. I'm just afraid of g4. So bishop e7, bishop e3, queen c7, f4, and then a6. It's interesting how he's you knew very little. Well, Karpov, yeah. I mean, Karpov and Kasparov had battles in this, and that was in like their first, primarily, right? Like their first match. That there were all those games, and it got postponed or whatever. I mean, it was stopped, right? The first match was stopped, but Kasparov and Karpov playing white primarily in this line. You're playing like Karpov style. It's interesting the way he actually delayed castling here, because castling's usually played first. Obviously, a4 isn't necessary. The little kid, my game with the little kid was like queen e1 castles. This was like 2 years ago in Budapest. My last open tournament, spring 2018. This is my last open tournament. This exact position I had with little kid, and little kid had fallen back. I started with e4, c5, knight f3, queen c7, but the little kid was able to transpose back into memorized theory. It was a huge mistake by me, and I had a lost position after like 15 moves. But the little kid like failed to find like the most elementary like 2 or 3 move tactic that I've ever seen. He only was capable of memorizing 20 moves of opening theory. He couldn't calculate a 3-move combination, so it ended up that I drew. But I mean, I was like freaking out. This was my first Scheveningen in like 20 years that I played last year in the Budapest Spring Festival. Literally, my first Scheveningen in 20 years, and it wasn't by design. I was just like, oh, what am I gonna do? So, but this is sharper than A4. Blavix played A4, which a little bit like it's more like trying to play the whole board, not like all in for the kingside attack. Castles, and then knight b3. And this is old school, very positional, pushing a5. Again, Karpov, Kasparov, b6, and one of the themes in the Nikitin book, which I remember clearly, there was one variation where black plays knight a5, which always struck me as really cool. Because when you're at that time, I was like a beginner, maybe 1700. I just thought it's so amazing that you could play knight a5 and allow white to take on a5 and give black, black could actually allow double isolated pawns on a5 and a6. And that would be perfectly okay for black. To me, the static weakness was really scary. But I don't think it's in this position just yet. To play, if knight a5, we lose too much control in the center, obviously here. I also lost to Alonso Zapata in this line, I think. Rook b8. So this is the position, right, where you played g4. Queen e2 is recommended. As I said, I had a similar game with Defermian when I mentioned this during my game with Blavix, but Queen e2 is a useful move, keeping an eye on a6, slowing down b5, kind of like connecting the rooks, supporting e4. Good multi-purpose move. There's also Queen c4, which can be an incredibly irritating move for black at some points. But you saw Defermian doing commentary on Mechanics Institute stream. Interesting. That must have been... You're telling me that he's like in San Francisco? Or is this something old, Bob? So, g4. Well, he was there recently. Rook e8, g5. Damn, dude, look at the score here. Nick Sands lost twice, but that's ancient. Wow, Nick Sands lost in 1999 to Spitan. He lost to Stephen Gordon in 2008. I didn't even hear of the Nick Sands guy until, I don't know, a couple years ago. I didn't realize he's been around that long. He's like one of the top, like, what, Latvian? He's Latvian, right? Becerra, this is the guy who tried to kill me with his score sheet. Nathaniel Suturu. He tried to form his score sheet into a Chinese star after he resigned, and he like flung it at me, narrowly missing the artery in my neck. Master of sportsmanship. But no, seriously, this is funny. Like 4 games and look at the score. White didn't win once. Blavix. Isn't that amazing? Like 9 games, White didn't win 1 from this position. It just goes to show how hard it is to navigate positions with a space advantage. Knight d7. It gets tough to make a living when you're like an old grandmaster, Bob. I never heard of Defermian doing like commentary though. That's not his thing. Knight b4, h4, bishop f8, and then h5. This is exactly what Blavix tried to do against me. We had virtually the same game. But I remember what I did against you, Blavix. It was something like, well, I played b5, or, by the way, well, knight b4 I didn't play. What about knight b4? I mean, is knight b4 really right? That looks kind of weird. Knight b4 is a weird move, I would think. We're a record low on viewers, even though it's Thursday. Yeah, no, Thursday's always bad, Jim, but yesterday's viewership was low as well. I wasn't sure. But Thursday is always low. You know, hopefully it'll pick up. But I'm not that concerned. You know, Thursday, again, my focus isn't on viewership. But here I think this is a strange move. Knight b4. Can we time out, Bob? They only have 19. Well, I mean 19 viewers if we time Bob out. So I don't like knight b4 here by your opponent. It doesn't seem appropriate. h4, bishop f8. So he insisted on trying something like very active quickly with d5. I mean, I also don't know about h4, h5. It's pretty caveman. But again, I don't really play this line for white. I've only played it for black. I'm sure you didn't miss e5. You just misevaluated it, you know. Yeah, I mean, this opening the position, obviously he's got some play along the e file. I don't think you were greedy. The computer found an amazing move there, bishop b7. That is some seriously crazy idea. To store that in my memory bank. But knight takes d5. Frankly, I never liked his knight on b4. Knight d5, knight d5, e d5, and then something like bishop d4. I mean, I think trading pieces would probably help black because he has less space, and I never really liked his knight on b4 anyway. It's threatening c2, but other than that, it just seems like a spectator. Okay, it's guarding d5 now, clearly. Knight c5, knight d5. This is greedy. This is greedy. You know, it's like Nimzovich, Blobix, had this famous game. I don't know if you've ever seen it. I don't remember who the opponent was, but it was one of these massive games where Nimzovich had two knights, and he was like sitting on the opponent. And at one point, he like grabbed the pawn unnecessarily. He just totally didn't need to take the pawn, but he took the pawn and he made it like 10 times harder for himself. But if he had just not taken the pawn and maintained the blockade, and I think that's the basic premise here, it's dangerous to take this pawn on d5. However, if you don't take the pawn on d5, you may be staring at knight e4. You know, I mean, this is a serious thing. If he gets knight e4 in, he's going to start getting in your face. No, I mean, Blobix is a caveman from way back, but he's good. You know, he plays a tough caveman style. Like, seriously. He's got a nasty caveman style. He can do some damage. But this is greedy. Yeah, I agree. Knight takes, bishop takes. Knight takes b3. That's all that came with that knight on b4. No, it was on c5, my bad. Alright, so the smoke is clearing, and it does feel like Blobix is a little overextended. This is a theme earlier today. You're close, you know, very close. In fact, yeah, he's got to find a really good move here. Queen d7 would have saved him. But I'll turn off the engine. I'm just cheating. Queen d7 would have saved him. He's got d5 and maybe a queen exchange here. But in the heat of battle, bishop b7 looks like a normal move. Bishop b7. You know, at this point, I would think like, okay, I'm basically out of the woods now with black. I'm down a pawn. It doesn't matter. This pawn doesn't matter. White's king is open. It looks good for black. And so he avoids the exchange of queens, but that maybe helped you. Queen f5. I mean, objectively, right? Is that bishop ever coming to c5? I guess this is like time pressure. Blobix is out of the woods now. G6. Accident waiting to happen. Check, king h1. The problem is the third piece can't get in the game. It looks like now Blobix is okay. Finally. Risky, right? There's got to be something here. F6, look at those juicy weaknesses. B4, something like that, with a queen b3 check. Or just simply back rank mates. This is loose. I think Bob was talking to me, but I don't know. I assumed he was talking to me for calling Blobix a caveman. Oh my god, queen d8. See what I'm talking about? This is kind of caveman, right? Anyway, back to the chess. Queen d8 really difficult to defend. No checks of any significance. But honestly, like if we go back a move here, I mean, is it sensible for black to play? F6 is a very scary move for black to play. At the same time, I mean, I don't know what he's supposed to do. Is it, you know, it's not realistic to play G6, is it? I mean, then this diagonal is deadly, just deadly. I mean, you're going to get him on H8. The engine actually agrees with F6. Interesting. So F6. Oh, okay. So he could play Queen E6 here. I'm gonna guess. He could have played Queen E6. And that's a draw. This is a draw. Probably. Though maybe not so easy, but let's see. Queen E6, Queen E6, Rook E6, Pawn F6, Pawn F6, Bishop C3. And white is a pawn ahead. Not easy to say though. I mean, if this is enough to win or not for white. It's nice to be a pawn ahead. You have B4. You can take F6 on Queen E6. Oh, take it right away. Interesting. You just take right away. Ah, that's even worse. Wow. My bad. Alright, so Blobix has it all worked out. So he has to do King H8. This is dangerous. Okay, so Rook F8. I mean, obviously, like, if this move... You're just taking on F6, right? That's pretty nasty. Okay, so Rook F8, Bishop C3, and you have H6 now? Dude, do you have H6 here? I mean, is this for real? Oh, it's black's move, I'm sorry. Queen E6, alright, Queen E6. Why Queen E6? Threatening Queen E3 check. Preventing Queen E3 check. Threatening Queen H5? Not really clear. Oh, he's threatening Queen F2 and such. But it's just one check. There's no white square checks. How about Queen F2 check? Blobix, this is like a very complicated game for me to see. Is Queen F2 check anything? Are you walking up on the white squares to like F5? I mean, I would imagine Queen F2 check as well. Serious possibility. So everything's a draw according to the computer. Both queen f2 and bishop f2 check. This is not a draw. Is this a draw? This is not a draw. Oh my god. So, alright, so we're here, right? And he plays bishop f2 check. This is the game. So obviously you're threatening several different devastating moves, namely queen f8 mate, pawn takes g7. Every move must be with check. So he saw that if queen h5 check, king g2, you seem to run out of good moves. I thought, honestly, like queen f2 check looks like a pretty safe bet. But this move, so the end is funny. Bishop f2, here, here, here. Is this winning now? It's still a draw according to the engine on queen e2. So this may have been a pivotal mistake. Queen g2 check, yeah. So apparently he has to play queen e2 check. And he played queen g2 check, that's presumably in time pressure. And remember, this is 1986 and there was analog clocks. This is not on a digital clock with time delay. You know, these guys had to play a set amount of time. End of story. You gotta love the old clocks. I remember, like, in 2006, I brought an analog clock to a tournament in Philadelphia. And all of my opponents looked at me like I was an alien. You know, I really wanted to play on the analog clock. And at that point, you know, what's the rules now, Mr. Coffee? Is it just totally not allowed? Or what do you do if, like, people don't have digital clocks? Nobody let me play on the analog clock, even going back to 2006. But, okay, g6 check here. It looks like this is, yeah, this is funny. Funny for funny for white. He's just desperate now, and it's over. But this is cool. So he's actually giving the rook there with check. Bishop e5, king f8, everything wins. Now you're just up a rook. Amusing game. Yeah, it was lucky. You were lucky. You were overextended. You said you lose your queen here, right? It doesn't matter, right? Rook e8 check, king e8, queen d6, f7. Whoops. Slight problem. That's funny. All right, Blavix. No, great. Thank you for submitting a relevant game. You know, that's... I think that it's very hard to play positions that have a large space advantage, i.e. Marazzi, white side of Scheveningen like this, Hedgehog, the white side of the King's Indian. You know, it really takes a lot of skill, and that's why you see that position like out of the opening where we saw there were 9 games, and literally Blavix, if we count Blavix's game, it would be like 1 win for white out of 10 games. You know, basically, if a digital clock of any kind cannot be found, analog is only preferred to no clock at all. Yeah. All right. John Fedorovich said he likes the BHB clocks with the little buttons. I got one once that was like, it was like the flag was shorter on one side, and I told the story how my roommate liked to use that in tournaments. I never did, but all right, Blavix, thank you, man, for being a subscriber, for being part of the stream, guys. Tomorrow we're going to be back with open challenges, blitz, and rapid chess. No, just blitz tomorrow, Friday. Fast Friday, 5:30 p.m. Hopefully we'll get a bigger turnout. Blavix, 400 bits. Thank you, sir. Blavix is in 3rd place. Tied for 2nd, actually. He's 3rd on tie breaks against Warnacki. I don't know how the tie breaks work. I think it's first come, first serve. It's not alphabetical. He just added 200 more. Uh-oh. He's in the lead now. No tie break necessary. Blavix in 1st with 600. Jim with 500. Warnacki with 400. Thank you, guys. So we got 2 games left. Save a Dog and Bob. Save a Dog. If you have time, I add a game to my study. Played on 10-1. Okay, 10-1 against Mark. All right. Mark is white. Mark plays d4, knight f6. It's a Queen's Indian. So, Save a Dog, I want to caution you that if you do play the black side of the Queen's Indian, it's not the easiest opening to play for a win with. If you are playing people who are like lower rated, no, that's with a K, man. This is with a K. No fancy spelling. Just a common. K for common. Commoner. A bit war. Ready to start the bit war? A bidding war. I accepted an offer on my house today and declined another one. So I'm not going to have a bidding war, sadly. But b6, e3. So Queen's Indian is really hard to play for a win with black. I'm kind of settling on a not that high price, but I want to go home. Et, go home. Bishop b7, bishop d3, and then c5. But this is a nice dynamic move. The problem is that there is a nasty line here. Black has to be very careful of. Knight c3, cd4, ed4, bishop b4. Well, actually, you avoided the worst of it. So let me see this again. c5. Oh, okay. So Mark K played knight c3. The bird in the hand. Exactly, Bob. Yeah, I don't know what would happen if I held out and I went to a realtor and I just rolled the dice, and I might be here till New Year's or something to find a good deal. So yeah, I mean, time is money, Bob. So anyway, c5, white should castle. This is a very important mistake by Mark K. This position I find very unpleasant for black. I've lost a number of games. I almost lost to George Danner. I lost to somebody, and I lost to somebody on the stream too, I remember. So the main line is like bishop e7, knight c3, cd4, ed4, d5, cd5, knight d5. I don't remember who it was, like Alms maybe, one of these players. Knight e5, castles, queen h5, and this just isn't fun for black. I just don't want to touch this. MC Hammer. MC Hammer is gonna throw out the first pitch, I think, at one of the Major League Baseball games, if I'm not mistaken. Playoff games or something like that. Anyway, I'm not gonna touch this, but queen h5. This was recommended by Richard Palliser in his book on d4. That's cool, Bob. Mr. Miyogi. So knight e5 is just, this is unpleasant. So Mark K with white plays knight c3. See, that gives black a great option here. Take bishop e4. And this is much easier to play for black and to handle, turning into one of these Nimzos than that other line. So good choice by Save a Dog. Castles, castles. Oh, you're playing like Miklos Kapostas. Kapostas Miklos. Hungarian IM, kind of a lower rated Hungarian IM. His name means cabbage, Michael Cabbage. It's kind of funny. There's another game there, Popilski versus Brunello. It looks suspicious to me. It just looks suspicious to me. I don't know. I don't think you can do this. I mean, you could do it, but it doesn't feel right. Having said that, it was played by Sabina Brunello, who's a pretty decent player from Italy. I don't know. It looks suspicious. That's all I'll say. Yeah, he could get Greek gifts here, Jim. Other sorts of gifts on h6. They're not Greek. I guess they're like I don't know what they are, but there's something. This sort of gift on h6 could happen. Just as bad or worse can be possible. So this is a mismatch right here. Ildar against Miklos. Ildar is a friend of mine. He's a great player. He moved back to the Soviet. I want to say the Soviet Union. Feels like it. Like Ildar was living in the United States a long time. He was in Connecticut. He's a good guy. I don't know what the deal is, but I think he moved back to Russia, which sucks. But maybe he wanted to. I don't know what the situation was, but that's not a good matchup. Ildar just too strong for Cabbage Michael. Bishop f4. It's kind of a weird move, actually, Bishop f4, if you think about it. Just kind of attacking the air, But what the heck? We'll just develop a piece. Funny, it's almost actually, for me, hard to believe that Mark K just happened to choose the same move that Ildar played. I mean, there's so many moves here for white, like rook e1, queen e2, a3, and then of course like knight a4 is an idea in this type of structure already. I should inform you guys. The idea is to like trap the bishop in some lines with c5, but you could just embarrass the bishop and expand with a3 and b4. I mean that's a very standard type of idea. If black hadn't played h6, if black had castled, right, this is actually one of the main ideas, to play knight a4. Look at the games, 300 games with knight a4. That's literally the main line. All in favor of knight a4. Put your knight on the side of the board. All right. But is chess fun? Chess is fun. We're having fun here. That's the problem. People don't appreciate how much fun we have, and we learn at the same time. But Portish Lajos taking out Ulf Anderson in 1981. Did you ever get to play or hang out with any of those guys, Bubix? Heavy duty grandmasters from your era. I like Portish a lot. He's an awesome guy. Really, really interesting person. Okay, so bishop b4 castles, h6, bishop f4, bishop takes c3. Theoretical novelty. Yeah, I don't like this. I'm really freaked out by this. This is looking creepy. I don't like it. I think that I agree with Cabbage Michael that we should just go back and try to hold on for dear life. But it may be too late already, because Ildar is coming and he's not happy. One of the coolest guys I know, though. One of the coolest grandmasters I know. Very class act, Ildar Ibragimov. Yeah, this is not good either. I think the black's already in serious trouble. Obviously, d5. Can we dare try that? We just get hosed immediately. If d5, queen a4, check, knight c6. Say your prayers. Ugh. No, this doesn't look good. This looks like almost fatal. So he tried to improvise in d5. I mean, this is a void here. There's a void. Maybe white can play queen a4 check, queen a3. Queen a4 check is looking real nasty. Capablanca. This doesn't look very pleasant for black. And obviously if you try to trade queens, you get bishop d6. Yeah, queen a4 looks like bad news. So you got to be more careful in the opening, Save a Dog. Even against average club players like this guy, you can do better than this. You're in a lot of trouble. Hopefully he'll make some mistake and let you, He's got to miss tactics, I guess. I've never played this player, but I know approximately his level. I'm assuming that, he's going to make some sort of tactical mistakes. Those pieces look very ominously placed, and that bishop takes h6. Speaking of gifts, I had this game one time against Rasat Ziadinov, where I did h6 in a Caro-Kann 97. It wasn't pretty. I later played like h6, and I gave the guy exactly what he lived for. It was some sort of instantly over type of situation. Bishop h6 is a very real possibility in the not so distant future here, I would say, for white. I wouldn't even be shocked if Leela Chess said like bishop takes h6 was a real move for white. Let's just see for amusement, what it says. Not enough. It's close though. It's only minus 1.3. It's pretty scary that that's even that close to working. Is a bad sign for black's position. Oh God. Groan. See, this is the reason why this guy isn't, this is kind of the reason why this guy isn't like, 22,000 or whatever. You got a great position with white. Everything's going perfectly. And then you don't play something incisive, This is the time when you have to be incisive. I mean, queen f3. Queen f3, queen h3. Mama said knock you out. I'm gonna knock you out, right? We gotta get the... I mean, this is the old school rap going. This h3, this is just ridiculous, You deserve to be... this is just stupid. I mean, h3 is stupid. Yeah, just when he had you on the ropes, and knight c6. And now queen c1. Well, I mean, I had the same idea. This is very subtle, by the way. But my idea was queen f3, queen h3. Getting there without putting my queen on the c file. So he's trading pieces. Good job trading pieces. And it takes with the pawn. This is not easy to say. Maybe bishop takes, but obviously he's eyeing h6. And then knight e4, and he let you trade too much. He's let you trade off his attack, basically. My friend Dragon Kosic says just trade 2 pieces, and she can't attack. Just trade 2 pieces. She don't know how to play endgame. This is exactly like Kosic's whole. The entire theory behind his play is like trade 2 pieces and they can't do anything to you. This is just enough that white doesn't have a serious amount of attacking pieces. The best he has now is like some sort of perpetual. So he's blown it, and then f3. All right, I mean f3 maybe not that bad. Knight c5, and now you're just, hey, look, there's a pawn there. We can take a pawn. Maybe we can play d4. You're out of the woods, and you have a sound structure. This is interesting. Queen h4. I agree. H3 was the idea to play bishop back to h2, like it was the London system or something, Go play the London system. And now you just want a free pawn. Delicious. I mean, not sure where I want to put my queen. You can also go back to e7. But white's just totally messing this up. Here, I mean, your queen has potential to get trapped. I don't know. Did you guys see how I almost lost the other day? It looks like it might be safer to go back here. Awkward. I mean, still, it's not easy. You're only a pawn up. Opposite-colored bishop positions could happen. And that's not good. That's what I'm talking about. Luana. Luckily, you still have queen g5, but it's getting kind of scary now. Yeah, that's not. I told you guys about the tournament like 2 years ago that I played a GM tournament in Budapest. I lost 2 games because of g5, where I was black. Nothing good ever comes from playing like g5. It's sort of like Feingold's f6. I don't think he's actually threatening anything, right? Like if rook h4, queen g5, maybe let's see, f4 there, is still not lights out, you know? Rook h4, queen g5, f4, queen e7, and he still doesn't have a knockout blow. But this is like going from the frying pan into the proverbial fire. You know, you just weakened your own king side. Panic moment, and that's, where's move 11? He likes to do that. I don't mean to harsh on you guys, but this looks like it's going to be a long game. All right, king g1. He wants to play h4. What did king g1, h4? Or was it a defensive move? Do the f3 and f6 comments actually mean anything? What are you guys talking about? What f3 and f6 comments? So now this is, I like this, king f8, you know. Evacuation. I'm not sure if it's the best move or not, but at least it shows some creative thinking. So his plan was to play h4. I mean, he really needs his rook going to h1 to make this work. But a good idea by, I like this bailing out and getting your king to e7. It was a good call, and you're actually safe over here. So heads up by Save a Dog, you know, going for the, you're almost trapped, but not quite. And now White's just like indecisive, probably time pressure. Rook g7 looks kind of, I don't know what to suggest actually. I think you maybe should consider heading for the queen side, you know, keep walking. Wow. Everything's okay. That was close. That was close. You were in a lot of danger there. You were basically on the verge of the dead zone against a player you should actually be stronger than. No problem. It's all over now. Nothing to see here, folks. Just step aside. Just keep going. Nothing to see here. Whoa, that was kind of weird. Just don't get mated there. He finally made the trip. Now it's a walk up here to a6. This is great, though. I love the king walk. Queen a4 here. Luckily, c4 is protected. God, this is epic. My God. It became completely epic. Eventually. He's running out of stuff to do. This is like a Gingy Indian. Is that a free bishop? Looks like one to me. All right, yummy. We'll take it. Oh, that was a crazy game. I like the king walk. It's a Gingy Indian thing. King on a5. In the Gingy Indian, you walk king d8, king c7, and sometimes you have to actually evacuate out the a6, a5. My friend, international master David Vigorito, was a master of this. King going out to a5. Okay, good judgment though on the king evacuation. I like that. Good defensive play. But I think in the interim there, things were going pretty bad. You were lucky to just sort of escape. G5 was like, you know, on the precipice of death, you know. Yeah, that's worse than Feingold's f6. I mean, g5 is, yeah, usually fatal. All right, it's okay if you're castling queenside in the Nimzo or something. I like to do it there. Leningrad Nimzo, where you know, variations of the Nimzo where you go castle queenside, or you can go king d8, king c7 like Karpov and the Leningrad. But generally speaking, if you castle kingside, I'd be very, very reluctant to play g5. Um, h3 was worse than g5. Yeah, in a way, it was like the guy has everything. He played it perfectly. It's time to attack, and he just like plays h3. You know, he might as well have played like king h1 or something. This is actually worse because by playing h3, he took away the lift potential for queen h3. Okay, last game is Bob, and I'm going to select one. I don't want to see my own games. Robert Fisher against Sammy. That's the bishop f7 game. This is Thursday. That's against me. I did a lot of my games today, man. This was a good game. The opening was interesting. All right, fine. Everybody knows the Fischer-Reshevsky game. Let's do this. You played this creatively here. This is a simul game against Bob. He was white. I played the Alyakin's defense. I don't remember that we probably had this before. I don't remember what you did. I always play d5 because it's the most tense move. Black, objectively, you know, should probably play like e5. Objectively, that's probably a better move. Okay, so d5, and then this position, for some reason everybody takes, but I mean e5 is also a very interesting line. Against e5, I like to play knight e4, which is by far not the main move, and the positions get really weird, like knight e4, knight e2, and white tries to trap the knight on e4. It's a lot of fun. I'm not a big fan of the Alyakin, but I do play it. I always wanted to play it. I've played it sometimes, not a lot, and I don't have great results past pawn because the Alyakin is like an opening where I think you need to devote everything you got to studying it. It's a handicap. You know, you're giving yourself a kind of dubious position from the beginning. If you try to play the opening like half cocked, you don't get good results. And you know, in the old days, players like Lev Albert, he basically just played one opening almost. You know, and without databases, he could kind of get away with it. But I think the Alyakin has to be like kind of a sideline surprise weapon. I mean, it's hard to play that as your main opening at any level. I was actually telling one of my students who was around 2200 previously, one of my higher rated students, he asked me if he should continue to play the Alyakin's defense, and I said, I don't really think so. You know, you're just making your life difficult. Actually, HTFP was asking about Farzad Abdi, a local master here in New England. I think he might play Alyakin's defense. I'm not sure. Knight takes d5, and then Bob surprised me with g3. I thought this was a cool move by Bob. It's almost like you're playing the black side of Scotch up a move. Because I was just asking Weedmaster the other day, because he has a new book on the Scotch by Halifman. I didn't even know Halifman played the white side of the Scotch, but whatever. d4, e takes d4, and I like to play g6, so I was asking Weedmaster, what did Halifman, you know, give in his book about, like, you know, g6. This is Steinitz. It's sort of like an accelerated dragon, except it's not quite as good, because in the accelerated dragon, you have a bigger pawn island. The dragon pawn island, it's a c, you know, the c7 pawn is on e7, so you have this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The bigger pawn island is better. Here the pawn islands are split, so it's like 4 over here and 3 over here. And I think that Halifman gives lines where it's really like a dragon, except I think black's king side isn't quite as good. So you think the Alyakin defense basically be hit by preparation, black worse? Yeah, one of my teammates, Zoltan Varga, is one of the bigger experts in my former teammates in the Alyakin, and Zoli basically like got away with it he got away with playing the Alyakin by basically constantly like switching and sort of, he was relying on these weird sidelines. Like he would play knight b6 unprovoked. He would play knight like c6 and knight c7, or all kinds of weird sidelines. Anyway, so this interesting position. I think there's, what I want to show here is that there's essentially a Scotch. Bob is playing like the accelerated Steinitz Scotch, You know, it's funny, I didn't consider playing e5 here, but I mean, this has to be a totally valid move. I transposed to another opening that Steinitz would have liked. Soltis recommends it's a Vienna game with g3. What's it called? It doesn't say. Yeah, I mean, this just isn't an opening that I normally play, so I didn't go for e5. I played c6. So we're like out of book here, but I mean, c6 is essentially kind of passive. I suppose I could play c5. You know, I don't see anything wrong with that. And I can certainly take on c3, but as I said during the game with Bob, I don't really like these type of positions where there's this pressure on b7, and it's just like not a lot of fun for black. All right, so I played c6, bishop g2, g6. So this is interesting. There's a game here. Somebody named Korchnoi played black. I don't know, never heard of him. Knight f3 from Bob. And this is interesting because knight f3 is the more active square, but he blocks his bishop on g2. But it's interesting because knight f3, 3 games, knight e2, 1. No, I think knight f3 is correct. Here, bishop g7, then d4. So Hug played like castles. Everybody played castles. But again, I don't think there's anything wrong with Bob's move. You know, there's nothing wrong with d4. You don't have to play d4. You can castle and decide what to do later. But again, there's nothing wrong with d4. Castles, I thought Bob was slightly better, and I didn't really like my setup here. But I played just randomly bishop g4. I'm not happy with this move. Guys, I'm going to go after this is our last game, but I want to turn on the engine here and see what the engine suggests. You see, Stockfish correctly saying that white is better. Why is white better? Can you guys tell me? Anybody? Why is white better here? In 5 moves or less, tell me why white is better. See if you guys have learned anything from my stream. I know we got a little delay, but somebody's got to answer the question. Why is white better in this position? What's the most important feature of the position that gives white an advantage? Yes, so d4 pawn. A lot of people I was expecting might say, oh, well, white's development's a little better or something like that. Blobix makes an interesting point. He says because of the e7 pawn. But I think that it's related, Blobix. You know, essentially like the e7 pawn being backward is basically, in effect, there because white, you know, has a pawn on d4. So your answer is sort of like a backward way of saying the same thing, you know. The backwardness along the e-file is just there, you know, because there's a d4 pawn. This is a good Alyakin for white. Michael Adams would probably excel at this position. So bishop g4, I had basically written off the position I was going to do like h3, bishop takes f3, and just sell out and play maybe like e6, and white is better, you know. But okay, my position is passive but solid. Leiko, Sarawan, 1-0 probably. The h6, c8 diagonal. The diagonals, okay, but it's not the main feature of the position. Anytime you have the pawn on d4 that's not been destroyed, white has space advantage. At the bottom levels, it's not relevant. Now, Bob, I criticized a3 heavily. It is a waste of time. It ended up working out for him, though. So it looks like I should probably take now. You know, I guess I'm too hung up on not taking. I thought about it. And playing for blockade here with knight d7 and knight b6, trying to get control of these squares. I still think that white is better. So I played this first, and then he played queen d3, which I thought was kind of an interesting move. Computer doesn't love it. And then he played an interesting move here, knight e4. That was gutsy. I honestly expected him to like move his queen back or something. But this is gutsy, going into the pin, and there doesn't seem to be anything I can do about it. Now c5, c3, and I think Bob starts to lose the thread here. I mean, I guess objectively, you know, queen d3 wasn't the best move. He should just play h3. And now this is the point. I'm destroying the central pawn that is his advantage, essentially. Oh, so this is the Dorfman avant-post theory. I never read the Dorfman book. You know, I just know like bits and pieces that other people have referenced to me. Well, because I don't have that book. I mean, I don't know. He might have written multiple books in French. I'm not sure, but I know the one book that he's famous for. So I think that it's just a matter of central superiority, but it's only really relevant at the master level. So c3, cd4, cd4. Now it's just a completely different structure where he really just has an isolated pawn. e6. This looks passive, but I think I was in bad time pressure. 34 seconds, 1 minute. I mean, obviously I might be able to play e5. Doesn't really do anything though. I mean, I guess there's a trap, right? If e5, d e5, knight c5 is really nasty. That's unfortunate for white. But again, that's just kind of like a cheapo, you know. He could probably play knight takes e5 and be fine, I would imagine. So guys, last game, c4, cd4, and then I couldn't really settle on a good move here. Probably I should play maybe like rook c8. This was solid, and then the great move by Bob in principle to go after my bishop. And now he has unopposed white square bishop. And so theoretically, he has an isolated pawn, but I think his bishop pair, you know, kind of compensates for the bad structure. I wasn't happy with this move, but okay, it's not a very exciting position. What to do, you know? Maybe I should have played like queen b6 or something like that. Here, this is a good move. He's got interesting possibilities. That bishop looks great, looking both ways. I thought it was a very mature game by Bob. Very mature, Bob. Not like your behavior in the stream. In fact, quite the opposite. Rook c8, rook e1, just kind of hanging out. He doesn't release the tension. Good job. And then I release the tension because I'm the one in time pressure, and now he's in time pressure too. Great game, knight f3, good move, getting back to the center. Strong masters recognize when their knight's on the side of the board, and they get it back quickly. So good job. And then I played f6, and there are possible sacrifices. I wasn't too worried about it. Yeah, b3, great positional move, keeping me out of these squares. And then bishop f8. This is part of my idea with f6, to keep these squares away, and this is Rubinstein. If I had a rook on f7, that would be really a Rubinstein maneuver, but close. Maybe h4, h5. He can try to attack me here. But Bob just kind of loses concentration now. He goes for this piece sacrifice idea with knight h4, and I missed bishop takes a3 in time pressure. Just I was trying to move fast, so missed my chance to win a pawn. Now Bob's fine again, and I played f5. And this slightly weakens my squares, but it's probably okay. And Bob, this is a really bad move. I mean, your bishop pair is extremely important, I think, that it hangs out for the duration. So probably you should just come back to g2. Keep your knight, you know, able to go to f3. And position is slightly, well, actually it's about equal, I guess. I mean, I have a better structure, but I have some weak squares. You have the bishop pair. But this move is very bad, because now you don't have the bishop pair anymore. And I think that a couple of your pawns, actually most of your pawns, are on the wrong color relative to my bishop on the dark squares. So this is a slight mistake. And then queen d5. And I don't even know if queen d5 was the right move, because if knight takes d5, my knight gets back into the game. So it's difficult to say. I'm curious what the engine says. It's close, like they're almost equivalent. Queen d5 or knight d5, virtually equivalent. Tough to decide. I took with the queen, and then he lost on time. But it's basically equal. His structure is compensated by the fact that my king side is kind of significantly weakened. I don't know. I think that I like black a tiny bit better because of this pawns all being on the right color. And the engine thinks that I'm 0.1 better. So good game, Bob. Very mature. Very mature, Bob. All right, guys, we're out of here. So great Great. Not a big audience today, but I don't care. You know, I'm here to just like kind of thank you guys for being subscribers. And tomorrow we'll open up the Fast Friday challenges to everybody at 5:30. Again, guys, thank you so much for being part of the stream. I try to make it instructive. If you guys do know, and girls, if you do know anyone who would appreciate my stream, please tell them about it, because obviously we don't have that many viewers, and I'd like to make it more widely known. Anyway, thanks again, and we will be back. That's ridiculous, Bubix. Raid Zibbit. Okay, we'll see if we can do that. Is he on? Why don't I see Zibbit? Are you sure Zibbit is on? I guess I didn't make him a followed channel. That's weird, because I thought he was. What is Zibbit 64, right? No, I know the command, but it's Zibbit 64, right? All right, guys, take care. I'll see you later. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Enjoy Zibbit.